Hello, David. You are up next.
Hey Bart, how's it going?
How's it going? Where are you playing out of, David?
Seminole Hard Rock, Hollywood,
All right, so another Florida call. And what's the size of the game?
2-5.
2-5. This is a 1,000 cap game, right?
Yes, sir.
All right,
1,050 effective.
1,050 effective. Okay.
I am in the hijack, and I look down at Ace of Hearts, Queen of Diamonds.
So hero in the hijack has Ace of Hearts, Queen of Diamonds, and does it get folded to you?
It gets folded around to me, and I open to $20.
All right, so raise to 20. Is that the standard open size?
Yeah, pretty much for this game, yep.
Okay.
And then it gets folded around to the button, and he 3-bets to 75.
Button 3-bets to 75. You sound like you're from like my area. Are you?
I am. I'm from just south of Boston. I moved here 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can detect that Boston accent. So hero raises to 20, button 3-bets to 75. Okay.
And I make the call. I considered 4-betting here, like as a bluff, semi bluff, only because I had opened like 3 of the last 5 hands, and I thought he may have been making a move on me on the button, but I just didn't have like enough of a background on the spelling to justify doing that, so I elected to call.
Yeah, I don't know if you need to turn ace. I mean, what would that be for value, or is that turning that into a bluff? It's a little bit in between.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't have much history with the guy, so I just decided to look in the call.
So hero opens with ace queen off to 20 in the hijack, button 3-bets to 75, and hero calls, and we're off to a pot of $160.
Yep.
Okay.
And you ready for the flop?
Yep.
Flop comes Queen of Clubs, 7 of Clubs, 4 of Diamonds.
Queen of clubs, 7 of clubs, 4 of diamonds. Hero has ace of hearts, Queen of diamonds in a 3-bet pot. So obviously you flop top.
Yep.
Okay.
You go ahead and check, and the button actually checks this one back.
Checks it back.
Yep.
All right. So hero checks and the button checks behind. Okay. So it remains $160.
Yep. And then the turn brings in the King of Hearts.
The King of Hearts. All right. So Queen of clubs, 7 of clubs, 4 of diamonds. Turn here is the King of Hearts. And I'm assuming that you check the turn?
Actually, decide to lead for 50. In retrospect, this definitely should have been a check, just because it's probably still a better board for him overall, and it's going to be hard to get value here from worse hands, I think. But I did decide to lead out for 50.
Yeah, that's pretty strange to do that. Because it's just one of these things where, like, it's a 3-bet pot, and it's a 3-bet pot, and then when the preflop raiser checks back, they're gonna have some ace, gonna maybe have some ace king, but they're gonna use the king kind of like as a bluffing card if they're bluffing. So I mean, I guess like if you really wanted to get in the weeds with it, you could say, well, if you really knew a guy's like sort of 3-bet c-bet range, when he checks back flop, if he always has some sort of medium showdown value that's not ace king, meaning like if he's got, this means he always has like a pair, like tens, jacks, something like that. I guess you could make.
I think that's what I was going for at the time, just trying to squeeze out a little value from jacks or tens, maybe some Broadway draws. But yeah, I definitely, in retrospect, wish I had checked this one.
I was gonna say, I guess you could make a case for making this type of bet, but in that case, like it's just probably only going to be, you're probably only going to get one street anyways. So I would almost rather check, and then if it gets checked through, and you get a blank, you could make a value bet at the end. But you also sort of pick off possibly some bluffs here on the turn.
Yeah, definitely. No, that makes a lot of sense.
So does he just call or what?
He does. He just calls the 50.
All right, so he makes the call. Now, by the way, that doesn't, I mean, you bet less than 1/3 the size of the pot, so that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the best hand here still. So button calls, and now we're at 260, right?
Yep.
Okay.
River brings in the Queen of Spades.
Queen of Spades. So hero rivers trips. Queen of clubs, 7 of clubs, 4 of diamonds. Again, a 3-bet pot. Hero opens with ace queen. Raise 20, button 3-bets 75. Call, Queen of clubs, 7 of clubs, 4 of diamonds. Hero checks, check. turns the king of hearts. Hero kind of makes a very unorthodox lead here on a king, on queen 7-4 king for 50 button calls. And now the river's the queen of spades, so hero rivers trips. Well, I mean, if there's ever a situation here where it's better now, you feel more comfortable about your hand, obviously, like this is it. Like you'd rather see this card than even an ace here, I feel like, a lot of
Oh,
times.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I actually decided to take pretty large sizing here, really targeting ace king, and if somehow we check back ace ace on the flop, but I decided to make a slight overbet for 300.
This is an interesting kind of scenario here on the river, because it's an interesting scenario here on the river of, are you just trying to target a king? Because remember, he's wider than a king from what's going on here. Because you only bet 1/3. You only bet 1/3 on the turn, right? And he made the call. And now the river's a queen. So I suppose, by the way, you also block ace king slightly here too. You know, I mean, there's still like 9 combos. So I suppose you could make this look like, the thing about, now that I think about this type of sizing, as opposed to ever checking. Here's the problem with checking. Some people might be like, oh, check. The problem with checking here is that the villain will check back 9s or any pair, like 8s through, say, like jacks here. He'll just check it back, right? But if you make a bet like this, he could certainly get curious. Like at first I was like, oh, well, do you want to take a sizing here that's going to get, fold out like everything else? But now that I think of it, because your turn bet is so bizarre, here's the thing. If I was your opponent here, let's say I had jacks or 10s and you played the hand in this manner, it would be very, very confusing for me because of your turn lead. Like I first of all, I would have thought your turn lead was so strange. And now when you bet river for this type of sizing, I'd be like, what does this guy have? Just king queen? Just like the one combo of like king queen suited that's left here? Or like a set of sevens?
Exactly what I was going for.
Because I don't think that you would have bet like ace queen here. And like, are you betting ace king like this either? I mean, for the same reasons why I thought it was a little bit strange to lead turn with ace queen, it's still even kind of strange to lead turn with ace king if you played it just passively pre. So if I was your opponent here, I might look you up with 8s through jacks because it's such a bizarre line. So if that's what you were going for, maybe I could see this type of sizing here.
Yeah, there was also like something else to the dynamic where I hadn't played with this guy prior to the session, but I'd been playing with him for about an hour, and there was a hand where I went for thin value on the river with ace jack on a jack high board where there were 3 hearts, but I didn't have a heart in my hand. And he got curious and looked me up with a 10, which was middle pair. So I just decided in this spot to go for max value.
So people are saying that king queen raises the turn a lot. That is definitely consideration. What I'm talking about though, if I was his opponent though, if I was his opponent and I had like jacks, like I'm not going to raise the turn with jacks when this guy bets 50 on a king, right? So that's why I'm saying now somebody said that I would go for a check raise. I don't think those under pairs that will check back will call the river overbet, but they're not going to bet the river though. Those hands are certainly not going to bet the river. They're going to check back always. So I mean, we can debate. I still think that because the caller's line is bizarre, that you might get some thinking players to hero you with jacks or 10s. So what ended up happening? So you bet 300, okay.
Yeah, I bet 300 and button actually jams for 590 more.
590 more? Wow. Jams for 590 more.
Yeah, this really threw me for a loop. Wasn't expecting that.
890 total?
Yes. Yeah.
So the pot, well, I was 100. I would know. That's very, very strange. Like I was not expecting that. I was definitely not.
Either.
Yeah, I was definitely not expecting that. So the pot is 560, 1450, and it's 590 for you to call. 1450, 590 to call. What is this guy representing though? Like,
that's what, at the time I'm like, would he ever check back pocket kings on the flop and then not raise the turn? It just seems that SPR, he'd really want to get some money in with that or king queen before a bad. There's so many bad cards that can kill the action on the river.
Yeah, or somehow if he had 3-bet with like 7-7 here, is he playing it this way?
But would he check back the flop?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's kind
It
of
made no sense
it's
to me.
kind of
I'm like,
bizarre. I mean, and the other thing too is like, does whenever I get into these, first of all, like it's going to be very, very hard. I haven't even necessarily thought through it. Going to be the whole hand is so bizarre. It's going to be very, very hard for me to fold. But the other thing that I always try to get into is like, could he ever be overvaluing something that I beat? That would be like if he had like Queen Jack or something like that. Let's try to look at this.
yeah, but there's only one combo that's suited.
Sure,
I'm.
sure. And I don't know if he jams river over the top of your overbet. So
Right. Even if he had like played aces this way, I think he would just call the overbet on the river. So I discarded the idea that he would be jamming for value, worse for value. I thought he might have ace queen also for a chop. I considered that.
I don't know. I mean, these spots against in a 3-bet pot, a jam versus an overbet here is such an underbluffed line, but it's interesting. Nate, our coach, is saying that he would fold. I don't think I would fold here. Anytime something is kind of bizarre, and like you said, like 7-7 or king or king queen, there's not many combos of all those hands with you having a queen. And don't those hands raise the turn? I mean, it's queen of clubs, 7 of clubs, 4 of diamonds, king of hearts. Those hands would have to check back flop and just call a 1/3 sizing on the turn. Like if you have pocket kings and you're the button, let's again flip us back to being the button here, or pocket sevens. If we're the button villain in this hand and we play a slow play by checking back the flop, and now the turn's a king, and then all of a sudden our opponent leads out for 1/3 on the turn into 160 for a $50 bet, how can we not raise? With any of those hands. With any of those hands.
If I were in his position, it would be a disaster to just flat with any of those hands and let a scare card come. And then, say he has kings and I had sevens or something. It's a disaster. Now he can't get paid on the river. I mean, I've seen people take that line though, and then, gamble on a brick coming and then making it look like they missed a draw on the river. So I just decided, maybe that's what he's doing. But it was just so bizarre, like you said, the entire line.
Well, so did you end up calling?
I did end up clicking in the call after much deliberation.
And
villain chose king queen of spades for the one combo at king queen suited.
was that king queen of I thought the river was the queen of spades. Did I put it up wrong?
Hold on, let me.
Well, what is the combo? King queen of diamonds?
Oh,
No, it can't be king queen of diamonds.
Wrong. The river was actually queen of hearts. So yeah, he had king queen of spades. I had a typo in my email to you.
Queen of hearts. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you have the queen of diamonds in your hand. We know there was only one combo. So yeah, so king queen of spades. Yeah, I mean that's surprising to me that he didn't raise turn. So he had to check back the flop and then just call the turn. Check back the flop, call the turn, and then you just get totally fucked at the end, right?
Yeah, worst card in the deck. I mean, even an ace, I'm not going to lose my whole stack on, but
yeah, that's just a hard one for me to fold. That's definitely a hard one for me to fold. But I appreciate the call. That was David. Thank you very much.